The National Missing and Unidentified Persons System estimates that there are roughly 90,000 missing persons in the United States alone at any given time. While scientific advancements such as genealogy testing have solved many of these mysterious disappearances, many more remain unsolved and will likely remain still unsolved. The missing person case of Jennifer Kess, who vanished in her own home. Jennifer Kess had it all: a loving family, a loyal boyfriend, and a reliable job. When she disappeared on January 23, 2006, her family knew that something horrible must have happened to her. Although there is some grainy footage of a person of interest and Kess's abandoned car was later found, her mysterious disappearance nonetheless continues to elude investigators. On the evening before that January day, the 24-year-old Floridian returned home from work and chatted with her family over the phone. She called her boyfriend Robert Allen around 10 p.m. and then went to bed. Then, texts and calls to Kess went unreturned throughout the following day. Co-workers were surprised that she didn't show up to work. By 11 a.m., her parents drove from Tampa to Orlando to check if she was home. They found her car missing, but everything else seemed normal. Footage was retrieved from her apartment complex surveillance system, which showed an unidentified person dropping off Kess's car at noon on the day of her disappearance. Unfortunately, any distinguishing characteristics of theirs were obscured by the apartment's gate. Journalists covering the case reported the mysterious figure was thus the luckiest person of interest ever. In the following frustrating years, police have found Kess's abandoned Chevy Malibu but not much else. The car yielded a latent print, which was deemed too minuscule to reveal any helpful information. Additionally, none of the valuable items in Kess's vehicle had been taken, which suggested that her unsolved disappearance wasn't instigated by a robbery. Authorities pivoted from a lack of evidence to the acquaintances and friends of Kess's who might know more. Kess's brother and boyfriend both investigated one of Kess's ex-boyfriends on their own, but he was quickly ruled out. An older work colleague interested in Kess was also cleared as a suspect. By this point, investigators had no more clues to follow. Kess's credit cards went unused and her cell phone was turned off. Kess, it seemed, had simply evaporated into thin air. It has now been 14 years since Kess's mysterious disappearance. "Imagine waking up and your daughter is nowhere to be found," said Orlando Police Detective Teresa Sprague. "You can't reach her, you can't locate her. The police can't locate her. Hours turn into panic and days into your worst nightmare. I cannot imagine the nightmare the Kess family has been sleepwalking through." And our next case is the mysterious disappearance of two high school students and their mother. This missing person case is particularly distressing, as it saw the disappearance of three young women. On June 7, 1992, 19-year-old Susie Streeter, her 47-year-old mother Cheryl Levitt, and her 18-year-old friend Stacy McCall all vanished from their Springfield, Missouri home. Just the day before, Streeter and McCall celebrated their high school graduation, and those celebratory events were the last times anyone reported seeing the two students and the mother anywhere in Webster County. "I expected her home that night, the next day, maybe a couple of days afterward," recalled Janice McCall, Stacy's mother, in 2017. "Never in my wildest imagination did I ever think that it would be 25 years later and I would be saying Stacy is still missing." Though the Missouri State Highway Patrol, Springfield Police Department, and numerous other law enforcement agencies including the FBI conducted their own investigations, no promising leads into the missing persons case ever turned up. Even a 40-acre search across the county in 1993 yielded nothing. However, a 1996 prison interview with murderer Robert Craig Sox garnered some hope. Sox claimed to have been in Springfield the day the three women disappeared, but no charges were ever levied against him. Then, a few years later in 2002, two women called police to say that there were men at a Webster County concrete company who seemed suspicious. A subsequent search of the site turned up human remains. The bones, however, proved far too old to belong to any of the three women. The next year, authorities found blood at a farm in Cassville. But, once again, lab testing dashed any hope of providing answers to the mysterious disappearances. The nearly 3 decades-long mystery has yet to curb Stacy McCall's mother's determination to find her daughter. Unfortunately, the Springfield Police Department has long abandoned the case of the Springfield 3. "Until I know 100% that Stacy is deceased, I will never declare her dead," said Janice McCall. "They're going to have to find some remains somewhere before I call her legally dead. It's not for any reason other than if I do and she's not dead, think of how mad she'd be when she gets back." Another case is the unsolved disappearance of the Jamison family from their own home shortly before the entire Jamison family vanished in 2009. The father Bobby Dale Jamison visited his pastor and claimed that their home was haunted. Days later, Jamison, his wife Sherlyn, and their 6-year-old daughter Madison all disappeared from their Eufaula, Oklahoma home. It was October 8, 2009, when the family was reported missing. Police found their pickup truck a few days later, but it only added to the mystery, as it was discovered in Latimer County 1 hour away, and contained the family's IDs, wallets, phones, their pet dog, and $32,000 in cash. The Jamisons were both collecting disability checks at the time, leading police to believe that they could only have acquired this much cash if they were involved with buying or selling. Bad investigators thought that perhaps the Jamisons were killed in a deal gone wrong, but then wondered why they had brought their daughter and dog along with them. Everything found in the car suggested that the Jamisons didn't think they'd be away from their vehicle for long. But the missing persons case went cold for years until November 16, 2013. 3 miles from where their truck had been found, hunters discovered the skeletal remains of 2 adults and 1 child. While forensic experts were confident that these belonged to the Jamison family, no cause of death could be determined from them. At this time, the police renewed their quest to finally solve the case. Police recalled how Bobby Dale Jamison had told his pastor that 2 to 4 ghosts were living on his roof and haunting his family's home. They then discovered some unsettling security footage of the house on the night of the family's unsolved disappearance. The video showed both adults packing up their belongings and dumping them in the back of their pickup. Meanwhile, Sherlyn's mother claimed that her daughter and son-in-law had become involved with a cult. Police also discovered that Sherlyn had recently purchased a satanic Bible. Some suspected, instead, that Bobby Dale Jamison's father had murdered the family. Jamison had recently filed a protective order against his father, which painted him as a very dangerous man who thinks he is above the law. Perhaps the most convincing theory, however, was that Jamison first killed his family before committing suicide. This theory was initially sparked by an angry 11-page letter Sherlyn had written to her husband prior to their disappearance. Ultimately, the Jamison family's unsolved disappearance remains a disturbing open case. That's all for today. Don't forget to like, subscribe and comment down below if you want some mysterious disappearances to be